Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cloud Automation Guide, where we simplify DevOps, cloud, and automation for everyone. Today we're continuing our Aria Automation QuickStart series, and this time we're covering something essential for catalog governance, content sharing policies. If you want to control who sees what in your service broker catalog, this is the feature to master. Let's get started. So what are content sharing policies? Content sharing policies are an object in Aria Automation which defines who has visibility into your automation content. Whether it's cloud templates, ABX actions, CI/CD pipelines, or AWS CloudFormation templates, these policies determine which projects and users can access specific catalog items. They act as a bridge between your content sources and your consumer projects, enabling secure, role-specific access to automation resources. Now that we've defined what they are, let's go ahead and get started with configuring our first content policy. In order to create a content sharing policy, we have to log into our Aria Automation console and click on the Service Broker tile. Once in, we click on Content and Policies and Definitions, where we define our content policy. We're going to click New Policy, and the particular policy we want to create is the content sharing policy. Once in, we give our policy a name. And then we choose the scope as to what do we want this policy to apply to. We can either apply it to the entire organization, or we can apply it to the project level. From here, we would be able to search for the project that we want to be able to put it with. And notice you can only select one project at a time. It will not let you scope a content sharing policy to multiple projects. Then we have to add what items we want to share using this policy. You have two options here. You can choose to share everything within a content source and then select just the content source itself. Or you have the ability to select individual catalog items that you want to share. For this demo, I'm only going to share a single catalog item. Once you've added what items you want to make available via this content sharing policy, you then get to choose the entitlement type. For more information on the difference between the user and role-based, or for any option that you have in here, just click the information icon and it will tell you a little bit more. So for user-based, basically you have kind of three options. You can either add groups that you want to make this policy apply to, individual users that you would then search for and add, or you can do the default and say share with everyone within the project. If you wanted to make this policy more something scope based upon the level of permissions that users have within the project, you could choose role-based. And role-based allows you to say if they're a project administrator or a project member, or within Aria Automation, they're an infrastructure administrator or a service broker resource creator, select one of these roles and this policy will then apply to that role. Most of the time, what you're going to do is do something that's user-based and either add users directly or add groups, more preferred method. So that way, if you have users come and go, you don't have to go in and add them here individually. If you add groups, you can, like Active Directory, just have the group in here and they'll automatically get it. Or if this policy will actually apply to everybody in the project, just check the box to share the content with everybody in the project. Once you're done, you hit create, and you have now created your content sharing policy. In order to test this out, we're going to go take a look at our catalog. We do that by coming and clicking on Consume. Now this catalog is going to show me everything. You'll notice that there's actually 3 cloud templates here that I have access to, and that is because I'm logged in with my default admin, which that account is actually on this Cloud Automation Projects group, as well as my templates group. So if you remember on the content sharing policy, we chose just this demo Linux catalog item. So if you click on the more button, you get to see which all projects that it's linked to. But if you really wanted to test the visibility and what it would look like for a normal user, and since we created this content sharing policy for this cloud automation guide project, you can come over here and you can say, search for projects, click that project, and then it shows you what only that project can see. So kind of a shortcut way without having to create, new user accounts and stuff like that, and log out, log in, and see that. This gives you a way to kind of scope it and see what exactly they have access to. And that's pretty much it for setting up a content sharing policy. So what are some final thoughts? First off, clearly define your project to content mappings. Try to minimize cross-pollination of catalog items in multiple content sharing policies. If you need to create a separate single content sharing policy, for example, default content sharing policy that applies to all projects. So that way, you have one place that you can make modifications to, and it helps kind of simplify your management. Second, always try to use groups and roles whenever possible. Avoid adding individual users to content sharing policies whenever possible. Again, it will help simplify your management of the environment. And lastly, and probably most importantly, please make sure, preferably when you're designing your cloud templates, that you you don't have to hard code or specify the resources where those cloud templates can be deployed to. But if you have to for some reason like that, or let's just say I have presented a cloud template which is for vSphere or for like say AWS rather, and you are creating a content sharing policy for a project which should only be deploying on-prem, or only currently has the access to deploy on-prem, right? Please make sure that your projects have the proper cloud zone configurations to be able to deploy the cloud templates that you're making available to them. So, for instance, this is an on-prem or this is an AWS cloud template, but the project that you're presenting it to only has access to an on-premises cloud zone. So make sure that they have everything that they need in order to be able to deploy the systems properly without failures. And that concludes this video on how to configure a content sharing policy in Aria Automation. If this video helped you, please give it a like and subscribe to follow along as we complete more tutorial videos so that way you automatically stay up to date. If you would like access to the actual text blogs tutorials for this video and the others on this channel, as well as getting access to various Aria Automation and Aria Orchestrator content, please head on over to cloudautomationguide.com. There you can find what it is that you're looking for, as well as you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter that keeps going out with current updates regarding cloud automation.